Hi there! Welcome to another episode. Join me to another adventure as we delve deeper to the world of language. By the way, if you are new to this channel, do hit the subscribe button and ring the bell button for more updates. Shall we begin? For today's video, we will try to understand the English language deeper. From the very simple sounds we produce to the words we form and utter. In this way, we can understand the English language more. And it might be your chance to improve through learning the very foundation. So just sit and relax. To begin with, a language has 5 levels, namely phonology, which refers to the system of sounds, morphology, which refers to the word formation, syntax, which refers to clauses and sentences, semantics, which refers to the meaning, and pragmatics. It refers to how the language used. You see, learning English means understanding these 5 levels, and if you have mastered them and applied to the real world, you will become a language genius in no time. But we will try to focus on 2 of them. The very foundation, which is the phonology and morphology. These 2 will be explained separately, one at a time. But first, let's have a short sneak peek to the history back during the Old English. It all began when the Anglo-Saxons were converted into Christians, as they have introduced the Roman alphabet and begun extensive writings. Here are the few things that we need to remember during this age. Number 1. Old English is the oldest form of English around. Old English is the oldest form of English around 450 to 1100 AD. Old English used 6 vowels, these ones, including this one and this one, called ush. And all of this could represent both short and long vowels. Note that all symbols during this time represent pure vowels, not diphthongs. To start with, during this time, great word inflections are already happening. Don't be bothered by those words. A beginner might lose grasp knowing those terms. But as we discussed this, you will gradually understand it. In order to understand the sounds we speak, we should first define what phonetics and phonology are. Phonetics is the study of sounds of speech, how we produce speech, how we perceive speech, and what characterizes each particular sound. Meanwhile, phonology is more concerned with sound systems and patterns. Phonetics is the study of human sounds, and phonology is the classification of the sounds within the system of a particular language or languages. To make it simple, phonetics is the physical representation of the sound, while phonology is the mental representation or the system of language used. Additionally, phoneme and allophone are also the elements that we should consider before furthering the discussion. Phonemes are the smallest phonetic units in a language that are capable of conveying a distinction in meaning, while allophones are audibly distinct variations of phonemes. One phoneme could have different allophones. To make it clear, this is the phonetic chart, based from the IPA or International Phonetic Alphabet. We will try later to sound them all, but in this moment, let's try to figure out the difference between phoneme and allophone. Since phonemes are the smallest unit of language and it can change the meaning of the word, for instance, the phoneme b in boat, if changed to phoneme m, it will become moat. You see, even though the remaining letters did not change at all, but if one phoneme changes, it could change the whole meaning of the word. Just like an example, boat is different from moat. Just like the phoneme L sound in the words pool and loop, where the final L sound in pool makes the tongue spreading of the back of the tongue against the roof of the mouth. It may be difficult to distinguish the sound, but the point here is allophones varied according to the position of the phonemes. To summarize, phonemes can change the meaning of the word, just like phoneme M in moat. If change the phoneme B, it will become boat, which are different words. While allophones are just the distinct sound of specific phoneme depending on its position. Just like the phoneme T in top and stop. The T in top is aspirated. When we say aspirated, it is pronounced with the sound of a breath, just like the phoneme ha. You see, it's just like you are breathing. Okay? While T in stop is unaspirated. These two sounds are the allophones of phoneme T. Once again, top, stop, top, stop. I hope you understand the basic difference between phoneme and allophone. Now, let us dive deeper to English sounds, starting from the very foundation of sounds to final articulation of sounds. First, let's take a brief look at the vocal tract, where the sounds are produced. The parts of the mouth involved in making speech sounds are called articulators. Three parts of the mouth cannot move: the upper teeth, the alveolar ridge, and the hard palate. These are therefore known as passive articulators. The other parts can move and are therefore called the active articulators, especially the tongue and the lips. The tongue is a very important active articulator, as it is often brought into contact with another part of the mouth in order to make a closure. Additionally, tongue shapes the sound of the words. Places of articulation fall into different categories. The first type of sound is the bilabial, wherein the articulators involved here are the lips. Number 2, labiodental, wherein the upper front teeth placed against the lower lip. Next, we have dental, wherein the tongue, the tip or the sides of the tongue are between the front teeth and touching the upper teeth. Number 4, we have alveolar, the tongue, tip or blade, and sometimes the sides of the tongue against the alveolar ridge. Next, we have palatoalveolar, wherein the tip or blade of the tongue are making contact with the alveolar ridge, while the front of the tongue is raised towards the hard palate. Next, we have palatal, wherein the tongue, front or the sides of the tongue are against the hard palate. Next, we have velar, the back of the tongue against the velum or soft palate. And the last one, we have the glottal sound, wherein it refers to the vocal cords itself. So here is the chart for the places of articulation for each phoneme. But before we sound them all, let's discuss too the manners of articulation. We already know that there are specific places for different sounds. Now, let's find out the manners of the production of the sounds. Identifying the manner of articulations allow us to classify sounds according to what happens to the air stream as it passes through the vocal tract. We can distinguish 5 types of sound in terms of manner of the articulation. A sound may be a plosive, a nasal, a fricative, an affricate, or approximant. What is plosives or stops? When we say plosives, the speech organs are closed and the oral and nasal cavity completely closed, blocking off the air stream. The upbuilding pressure in the oral cavity is then suddenly released. The audible puff of air that is released is called aspiration. Plosives of the English language are
P as in pumpkin, T as in turtle, K as in car.
which are voiceless. When we say voiceless, there is no vibration in our vocal tract. And which are voiced, wherein there is a vibration in our vocal tract when you are producing these sounds. Number 2, affricates. Like with plosives, there is a complete blockage of the air stream in the oral cavity. But in contrast to said plosives, the blocked off air stream is not suddenly released, but rather slowly, causing audible friction. Affricates can therefore be divided into 2 parts, a plosive followed by a fricative, as there is closure and friction in the same place. But note that affricates are always analyzed as only one phoneme. English affricates are as in cheese and as in jungle. Number 3, we have nasals. In nasal sounds, the velum or the soft palate is lowered, blocking off the oral cavity. Air can only escape through the nose. English nasals are
As in Monday, as in nail, as in the end of the word sing.
which are all voiced sounds. Number 4, we have fricatives. Fricatives are created when air forces its way through a narrow gap between 2 articulators at a steady pace. They can be divided into 2 categories, slit fricatives and groove fricatives. In slit fricatives, the tongue is rather flat, as in
fish, as in third, as in the middle of mother, as in volcano.
while in groove fricatives, the front of the tongue forms the eponymous groove, which are
S as in sun, sh as in shoes, z as in zip.
Next, we have laterals. The tip of the tongue is pressed onto the alveolar ridge. The rims of the tongue are lowered so that the air escapes over the lower tongue rims. The only English lateral sound is
U as in leaf.
Number 6, we have approximants. The name approximants refers to the fact that the articulators involved approach each another without actually touching. There are 3 approximants in the English language. We have
W as in watch, Y as in yo-yo, R as in rain.
approximants are often referred to as semi-vowels or glides. as they represent the twilight zone between consonants and vowels. Now, let us try to sound them all following this chart.
Ready? Here we go. B as in banana. D as in dinosaur. F as in fish. G as in guitar. H as in hand. J as in jelly. K as in car. U as in leaf. M as in Monday. N as in nail. Ng as in the end of the word sing. P as in pumpkin. R as in rain. S as in sun. Z as in the middle of treasure. T as in turtle. V as in volcano. W as in watch. Y as in yo-yo. Z as in zip. Some graphemes, such as Q and X, are composed of two phonemes. For example, Q makes the Q sound, and X makes the X sound. The next phonemes are considered to be digraphs, where two letters make one sound. Ch as in child. Sh as in shoes. V as in the middle of mother. Th as in third. Make sure students hear you pronounce phonemes correctly. You're modeling the language that they need to independently decode and write words. Just like the consonants, the English language has a wide variety of vowel phonemes with their own distinct sounds. I'll model each sound, and the grapheme will be shown on the screen below. A as in the first sound in apple. E as in the first sound in elephant. I as in the first sound in igloo. A as in the first sound in octopus. As in the first sound in umbrella. A as in the middle sound in rain. A as in the final sound in saw. E as in the final sound in tree. I as in the middle sound in light. O as in the middle sound in boat. U as in the first sound in uniform. U as in the middle sound in mood. As in the middle sound in book. Ow as in the final sound in cow. Oi as in the final sound in boy. There are also R-controlled vowels, such as R as in the final sound in car. As in the middle sounds in herd, bird, and surf. Air as in the final sound in chair. Ear as in the final sound in spear. Or as in the middle sound in fork. Sometimes, when a vowel sound is located in the unstressed syllable of a word, it becomes a schwa. An example of this is the that you hear as in the first sound of the word again. Make sure that your students hear you model the correct consonant and vowel phonemes. This will help them produce the correct sounds themselves, and in turn, guide them as they learn to read and write.
Despite there being just 26 letters in English language, there are approximately 44 unique sounds, also known as phonemes. The 44 sounds help distinguish one word or meaning from another. The 44 English sounds fall into two categories. We have the consonants and the vowels. Here is the list of the 44 phonemes along with their international phonetic alphabet symbols and some examples of their use. The vowels have already been divided into two types. We have the monophthongs and the diphthongs. A monophthong is a pure vowel. In other words, when the vowel is spoken in isolation, the position of the mouth remains unchanged. By contrast, a diphthong is a glide from the vowel position towards another. As you pronounce a diphthong, you will feel the shape of your mouth alter slightly. To put it simply, a monophthong is a single vowel and a diphthong is a double vowel. A monophthong is where there is one vowel in a syllable, and a diphthong is where there are two vowel sounds in a syllable. As shown in this chart, vowels and consonants are divided into monophthongs and diphthongs. For instance, in monophthongs, we have sheep, long E sound, and sheep, the short E sound. For diphthongs, we have wait and boy, boy. Okay, the gist of this lesson is if you have studied the formation of sounds and how they are being produced, you will become a great English speaker in no time. But always remember that a sound may vary according to different factors, and one of those factors is the ethnicity of one person or what particular group of people that person belongs. There is a study entitled Intonational Variation and Incrementality in Listener Judgments of Ethnicity by Nicole Halliday and Don Villarreal, saying that people judge mostly based on the pitch sound a particular person produced in order to group them in a certain ethnic or group of people. In this study, different speeches of former President Barack Obama were used to analyze if his speaking attitude has certain characteristics to compare to white Americans. And the study revealed that people judge more according to the pitch sounds of the people in order to categorize them based on their ethnicity. Finally, these results indicate that listeners' sociolinguistic perceptions are sensitive to the magnitude of the input or the pitch itself. As you can see, we know how to speak English, but it doesn't mean that we have the same sound production. Ethnicity is indeed a factor that might affect the production of sound. For instance, I am a Filipino and my accent is not the same compared to native ones. But if you want to become a standard English speaker, well, you must learn the standards based on the International Phonetic Alphabet. Well, that's it. If you want to remember some information, you are free to go back and watch the video again. For the next video, we will try to define and understand morphology, which is the second level of the language. See you next time.